It is not the difference of religions which is causing this conflict. The state of Israel does not represent all Jews, and certainly does not represent the Jewish religion. According to Jewish religion, all of this is criminal. All of this is forbidden. Basics of Jewish belief teaches that Jews are in a divinely decreed exile. We are even forbidden to create a sovereignty for ourselves. But especially when this is by killing, stealing, oppressing an entire people. This is not only criminal according to international law. This is a true violation of Judaism. And still, those people who choose not to follow Judaism misuse that very same religion to justify all those crimes forbidden.
This man is Jan Adams. He's an American surgeon who operated on Kanye West's mother before she passed away. Donda passed away suddenly on November 10, 2007, a day after she underwent cosmetic surgery.
You're known as the doctor who Donda West.
Donda West survived the surgery very well. She was at home.
Did anything during that surgery go wrong?
No.
Were there any complications during the surgery?
No.
Was there anything prior to the operation that gave you pause about operating on this woman?
No. Kanye West can end this by telling the truth.
And what do you believe that truth is?
The doctor had nothing to do with his mom's death.
Just listen closely to what Kanye had to say about his mother's passing.
I ain't taking no slice from nobody. It's God. It's the only person that I serve. My mom ain't here. My mama was sacrificed. You understand?
Yeah.
Michael Jordan, what about him? His daddy, right? Bill Cosby, his son, right? Dr. Dre, his son.
Robert Bigelow said to me, "They're walking among us."
Phenomenon filmmaker James Fox was told some cryptic things regarding extraterrestrials and the phenomenon when speaking to billionaire Robert Bigelow. Bigelow has long been interested in UFOs and is the founder of Bigelow Aerospace. He also once owned the infamous Skinwalker Ranch. Let's check out what he said in this interview with Fox.
I said, "What do you mean they're walking among us?" He said, they're walking among us. They live right here, kind of thing. So, again, I'm looking at him going, I need to see, I'd like to see some proof of that.
Right.
But then he said, we've done studies. We've done extensive studies on the impacts of this story would have on the general population, globally. And I said, okay. Well, like what kind of studies? He goes, well, you take Iran, Contra, and you take all these other like super big scandals, and you multiply those, every one of them that's ever happened in the history of mankind, in modern history, and then you multiply that by 1 million, and that's the impact, according to our studies, that this reality would have on the general public. He said the economy would collapse, organized religion would collapse.
Do you think they're walking among us?
Are they really here?
When a human ends up not where he should, not in the spiritual world, but even in the state of subpersonality, at this level, he is already doomed. Subpersonality understands and feels this perfectly well, and it is extremely afraid of the second death. You know, I would compare it to a situation when a person commits something terrible and a court sentences him to be executed. It is one thing when you are sentenced to be executed. Yes, it is scary, and many people are greatly frightened by that. However, let's say, if the court verdict is executed quickly, this is a reward. Whereas when a person keeps waiting for years and understands that at any moment they can come for him and just execute him, that is the most terrible punishment. Although many people do not understand, they think if there is a sentence, then why is a person being kept for another year or two and given extra time to live? In this case, the more terrible the punishment is, the more time a person is given to live, because this is the most terrible stage. Anticipation of death. A person is already nearly dead, but he is still living. It is the same with subpersonality, being in a state when it cannot sleep and cannot change the situation. It is aware of everything, remembers every moment of its life, experiences them billions of times, and understands what it has done and how it has acted towards the spiritual world that gave it chances and gave it life. It is aware of all the cause and effect relationships and has an understanding of what annihilation is. And even in such a seemingly worst state possible, knowing perfectly well what annihilation is, subpersonality is extremely afraid of it. You know, we don't have anything to compare this state to. Well, again, this is what I can give as an example absolutely does not correspond to reality. But it gives at least some understanding. You know, organs are printed on 3D printers. Well, people have already learned to print not just human organs, but also all sorts of craft work. Layers of substance are applied, and items are restored. When a human organ is printed, cells are applied layer by layer. And now imagine the reverse process, how those cells are removed layer by layer. So this very process of annihilation is like, you know, an old car that has gone to a landfill and is gradually being dismantled for spare parts. Or, in fact, like a planet caught in an interaction with a black hole when it is gradually collapsing. The same is with a subpersonality which goes to annihilation. This process is very slow for it. For the subpersonality itself, it is millions of years. It's an abyss that never ends, and layers are being gradually removed from this subpersonality, like in a 3D model. It should also be noted here that as long as we are living, as long as we are in the body, our body is a compensator for very many problems. It really compensates for what secondary consciousness gives us, what we could experience as personality, because a lot of different emotions, worries, pain, and suffering are very much compensated by more than 99% due to the work of primary consciousness and due to our physical body.
Was that I have this disease and I need to get help. And, you know, the thing that always makes me cry, and I hope I don't cry here, is that it's not fair. It's not fair. It's not fair.
It's not fair.
That I had to go through this disease while the other 5 didn't. They got everything that I got. But I had to fight this thing and still have to fight this thing. So just to end this on a good note, there are people that will help you and get their help. It doesn't go away. It never goes away.
What Einstein said was this: if you don't have anything out in space, that's a flat space. If you were to take a planet, a ball, whatever it is, a rocket ship, and roll it, it would make a straight line in that space-time. Watch it up on the screen. I roll it, and it makes a straight line. But, according to Einstein, if you go and have a star, that star will bend space-time in that extra dimension that you can't see. See, you can't see it bent up over there, but you can see it here. In that bent space-time, if you roll the ball, see, now it looks like it's going around and around that planet. So according to Einstein, there is no connection between the star and the planet. What you have is the star bending the fabric of space. And this little fabric pulls on that, which pulls on that, which pulls on that, which pulls on that. There is no action at a distance. There's only this pulling on the stuff right next to it. And then when the ball goes around and around, it's because of that curvature going around. Here's another thing he said, was that if you have a heavier star, a more massive star, and put it in, it's going to curve space-time even more. So watch this. It really looks like a planet going around a star. But once again, it's not because there is any connection. It's because there is an extra dimension that you can't see out in space. The star curves that extra dimension of space-time, and that curved space-time is what causes it to go around. This is Einstein's general theory of relativity, and it is how he explained why planets go around stars.
There's a lot of banging and scratching on my roof. I came out here to look and see. I don't see anything up there. I don't know what's going on. Hello? Do you hear that? Hello? 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 Hello?
Oh my god, this is so cool. See, this dog is just chilling here with this kitten. Oh, and they are good friends. They're not even fighting. This is so interesting. Animals are very beautiful, men, and very intelligent. This is so nice. You see, there is a video that has passed about that guy, Donda, Einstein, talking about how he struggled with addiction for those years.
The movie The Matrix is not science fiction. It's a documentary. Every human, and it's a fact, every human first 7 years is download hypnosis. The brain of a child under 7 is in a lower vibrational frequency. When you put wires on a person's head, you read electroencephalograph. A child below 7 has a lower vibration than consciousness. It's called theta. Theta is imagination. Theta is also hypnosis. And the idea is this: before you can become conscious, if you don't have any programs, what are you going to be conscious of? 95% of our life, this is a fact, comes from those programs in the subconscious. Give me a child until it's 7 and I will show you the man.
Oh, all these videos have passed and there's a lot of information. I was not talking about that guy called Perry. I think he passed some few days ago. You see, it's very sad to hear people struggling with addiction out there, man. And that's why we are trying very much to spread this message of love and caring for one another like you do for yourself. That way people can be able even to share their burdens and what they are going through with one another without being insecure if they'll be misjudged or, you see, mistreated for how they have gone through. You see, that way we could be living in love and there could be no all these worries of addiction and such stuff. And if there is anyone struggling with addiction out there, please, we love you and don't harm yourself. Seek help. Also, guys, much love to you people out there. Some people do good gestures. They hit the super thanks, join membership, and our subscribers. Much love to you, man. My heart goes out to you. It is because of your support that we are here every day. My heart goes out to everybody else there that is watching. Let's keep watching and watch till the end. You are respected.
The universe appears to be 13.8 billion years old. Earth is like 4.5 billion years old. In another 500 million years or so, the sun will expand and probably evaporate the oceans and make life impossible on Earth, which means that if it had taken consciousness 10% longer to evolve, it would never have evolved at all. Just 10% longer. And I wonder how many dead one-planet civilizations there are out there in the cosmos. that never made it to the other planet and ultimately extinguished themselves or were destroyed by external factors. Probably a few.
Oh man, no, that's scary. Oh my God.
The original food plan that God gave Adam and Eve, and we'll look at that original food plan, found in Genesis 1:29. God said, "Behold, I've given you every herb-bearing seed which is upon the face of the earth." So we're going to look at the food. What's a seed? A seed is a grain. A seed is a legume. A seed is also a seed. So let's have a look at that. So the grain, wheat, rye, barley, oats, amaranth, millet, buckwheat, corn, so many grains. These grains are high in protein. That's good news. But regarding carbohydrate, they are very high. That's not right. How many here are from the grain department? Grain, 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 grain. The majority are from the grain. Another seed is a legume. What's a legume? That's your chickpeas, lima beans, black-eyed beans, cannellini beans. So many legumes. You go into an Indian shop, you get about 5 different types of just lentils. Red lentils, green lentils, blue lentils, brown lentils. Legumes are high in protein, but they are medium to low in carbohydrate. The fact is, the legume is about 1/3 the carbohydrate content that you will find in the grain. And remember, they're a nice steady low on the glycemic index. Seed. Pumpkin seed, sesame seed, sunflower seed, chia seed. High in protein, low in carbohydrate. God said, "Behold, I've given you every herb-bearing seed." You see, what God designed was us to have a variety. And yet on this high carbohydrate diet, people are eating one grain, and that happens to be the grain that was hybridized. And the reason they hybridize that grain is because it's such a popular grain, the wheat. And because it's what people predominantly eat, so that's why they hybridized it. But not only do we have an epidemic, pandemic I'd say, of gluten intolerance, but we've also got a pandemic of obesity and diabetes. That's huge. God said, "Behold, I've given you every herb-bearing seed and every tree. In the which of the tree is a fruit-bearing seed." So what's a fruit-bearing seed? That's a nut. And we have so many nuts. Peanut is not a nut. A peanut is a legume. And as a legume, it should be cooked, either dry roasted or boiled. And I know down in the southern states, a boiled peanut dish is a popular dish, isn't it? And there's not a problem when you grow it yourself and harvest it and process it straight away. The problem is most people are living in the cities now, so their food's grown out in the country. It's harvested, it's stored, and because peanuts are a ground crop, they mould very easy. So it's in storage that the problem arises. One of our staff, when she was a teenager, she worked in the Sanitarium health food company in Australia. It's a 7-day Venice company, and they have products called nut meat, nuttolene, where they grind up peanuts and cook them and like have loaves. And she said there would be trays of nuts, there'd be almonds, big trays of peanuts. She said, so us staff, I don't think they're allowed to now, but they'd grab a few nuts when they're going to lunch. She said no one ever took the peanuts because they always had this light green covering. What's that? Mould. She said they always wash it before they grind it up. You cannot kill mould. You cannot kill it. That's why, I don't touch peanut. Now, if I hadn't eaten for a week and I was given a bowl of peanuts, I think I'd eat them. But we have choices today, don't we? And if you love peanut butter, you've got almond butter, you've got cashew butter. There's so many alternatives. The problem is the peanut is a legume. And as a legume and a ground crop, and of course in the storage, the problem arises. That's where the problem is. But we've so many nuts. We've got almonds and Brazil and hazelnut. I've just come from Germany. They make the most beautiful cake out of ground hazelnuts. Very nice. Cashews, pistachios, almonds. We've done almonds. Walnuts, macadamia nuts, and pecan, or you call them pecan, we call them pecan. So many nuts. And nuts are high in protein, low in carbohydrate. And so to get the glucose levels down, to go on a diet that's going to give a steady, sure, consistent delivery of fuel, reduce the grain part of the meal and increase the legume, seed, nut part of the meal. That's a very easy way to do it.
That's educative.
So here is the first clip from the first camera angle that was captured as the angel, or whatever that light is, descends upon the Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem. Then all of a sudden, boom, shoots up into the sky, and then there was this angle where you can see it happening again. Take a look. You see the way that it is literally still, and then all of a sudden it just projects itself directly up. That is not normal. There is no technology that the public have been told of anyway that can do such a thing. But here's where it gets interesting, because many have already seen